Sharkey, the founder of the Just Right support group. And here with me is Elder Craig Heath. He's actually the author of a book entitled Bounceback.
Bounceback.
Yes. And we just left a service today, and Bishop had called the men forth. And he pretty much was talking about the men who fathers did not cover them as it relates to them being the firstborn. So I found that very interesting, and it made me think about your book, Bounceback. And so many testimonies and things need to be heard, but I think they need to be written. Tell us a little bit about your book, Bounceback, that probably can help men understand how they can bounce back from not being covered by their fathers.
Amen. Bounce back in the general sense is just to recognize that most men have, we're out there and we're doing our man thing without much direction, without a lot of leadership, and for many of us, no examples of who we're supposed to be as men and even as men of God. And so Bounce Back relates to that in many different ways. In the first book, we talk about God's plan for man. So it's just to understand in the Genesis, as God breathed the breath of life in the man, what was that supposed to be about? And how did that transform and position man? And then we go through 11 more months of Bounce Back, and we talk about men's pain and how men, we really don't process pain like women process pain. Women talk about pain. Men keep it on the inside.
Okay. And I really appreciate having this opportunity to talk to you, because a lot of times, me being single, I hear that men don't communicate. But you actually are an author. You took the time to sit down and write a book to hopefully someone can read. And one of the things that I learned about being an author, your books can go places where nobody can. So you may not know all your readers, but the fact that you took the time to sit down and write a book to bless others, I found that very outstanding. So tell me, at the workshop, you're going to be talking about covenant relationships. Give us a little insight about what that session is going to be about.
Well, I don't want to give all the insights, Kim, but I'll talk about just a little bit. First of all, we have to recognize that in the processing of writing a book, it's, first of all, you got to know why you're writing it. And so, fortunately for me, God had purposed that for me. So I knew I'd be writing about the things of men. And but in that process, you recognize that it's really, really difficult to go it alone. And so fortunately, I had my wife who was my partner in that process, and she was my first editor. But there's other relationships that you develop along the way. And those relationships, some are covenant through contracts and agreements like publishers and maybe formal editors, but some may be informal, people that encourage you, people that may mentor you, support you through that process. Because there's a lot of questions you have. You know that maybe you have a writing project, but you don't know all the intricacies of writing, and so it's good to have somebody who's been there maybe. And so we'll talk about some of those things as well.
And that's why we want you to join us on January the 23rd. Actually, it's this Saturday, where you will meet very different authors who went down their own individual path, their own authentic path. There's no one way of writing. There's no one way of telling your stories. So meet us there. You can join us by registering at embassychamber.com.